The Federal Reserve of the United States has capitulated. In my opinion, this means that Bitcoin will inevitably go much higher from here. So, is it time to buy? Well, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. This is iFinance, so let's get into it. This is a historic day, guys. This is the first day that I see members of Congress openly discussing the possibility of Bitcoin overthrowing the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. This will be one of those days that we will look back in history and remember it was a turning point for Bitcoin. Jerome Powell today discussed Bitcoin and Libra in a session in front of Congress. And what I find funny is that everybody seems to be focusing on Powell's call for regulation on Libra, and it is true that regulation on Libra will indeed translate into a slower implementation and adoption of the cryptocurrency. And obviously, this in turn will tell us that Libra won't be Bitcoin's gateway drug for the foreseeable future. After all, the wheels of US regulation turn very slowly, and we all know that in the cryptocurrency space. But the fact that the market sold off due to Powell's comments on Libra tells us that the market is indeed expecting Libra to be a positive catalyst for Bitcoin. Otherwise, the price of Bitcoin wouldn't have declined. So I suppose the market was expecting Libra to be a gateway to Bitcoin. And after all, Libra would indeed bring 2.38 billion people into the cryptocurrency space. And it is reasonable to expect that a good portion of those people would buy Bitcoin, after they start dabbling into cryptocurrencies with Libra. As a result, Bitcoin price should be much higher than it is today. Still, we all know that the US doesn't want to regulate Libra because of money laundering or anything of the sort. Come on, guys. After all, many big banks have been caught doing just that, and nobody seems to care in Congress. No, the US wants to regulate Libra because this would jeopardize the dollar status as the world reserve currency, and this would in turn put in danger the US ability to have a perpetually accommodative monetary policy at the expense of those who hold the USD, meaning the 99% of people who hold dollars. But as much as I think a delay in Libra's release is negative for Bitcoin, I do think that people are forgetting a more important piece of news. And this is why I think the market is getting this wrong. You see, the correct headline should be, quote, "The US government realizes that Bitcoin could eventually overthrow the dollar as the world's reserve currency." In fact, Chairman Powell noted that the US dollar has been the world's reserve currency because of certain circumstances, and it is not set in stone. For example, he mentioned that usually the world tends to gravitate towards the currency of the most influential country, or the one that has the strongest military, the most resilient financial institutions, etc. For the past few decades, the world has indeed chosen the dollar as the world's reserve currency for these reasons. However, he noted that this could theoretically change depending on the fundamentals of the economy and the viability of other alternative currencies. In other words, this could change if the world wises up and ditches the dollar in favor of Bitcoin. Powell also said that so far he doesn't think that there's any other competitor for the dollar. However, he did note that the US shouldn't assume that the dollar will remain as the world reserve currency because, quote-unquote, it won't. As I was listening to the speech, I just felt this was a surreal moment for me, because I've been following these types of testimonials for years, and quite frankly, I can't remember one in which they openly discussed the possibility of the dollar not being the world's reserve currency anymore. So this whole speech was so surreal for me. It felt almost as if I was watching a movie, a documentary, and this was the highlight reel of how Bitcoin changed the world. But anyways, lastly, Mr. Powell mentioned two more critical things. One, it is possible for two or more currencies to share the reserve status. This means that maybe we could see a US dollar sharing the reserve status with the euro, sure, or maybe with Bitcoin, correct? Could be. Or maybe a cryptocurrency backed by the US dollar issued by the US government share the reserve status with Bitcoin. Who knows? But Mr. Powell noted that this is entirely possible. And two, that Bitcoin is being used as a store of value just like gold. And this is huge, guys. Think about it. These are historical remarks. After all, now Bitcoin is not only aiming at gold's market cap of about $7 trillion, which would mean it is 35 times bigger than Bitcoin. No, it is actually targeting now the US dollar itself. And the US dollar has a $20 trillion market cap. It's almost 3 times as big as gold itself. Not to mention that if Bitcoin can replace the dollar as the world's reserve currency, then it might as well just replace all fiat currencies. And that's a lot of money, guys. We're talking probably in the hundreds of trillions of dollars, around $100 trillion. But it gets even better, because at that point, all debt and all derivative instruments like options and all that are in play as well. And they have a collective market cap of well over $1 quadrillion. So if you price all of these instruments in Bitcoin, it is very possible, it is realistic to imagine a $10 million Bitcoin. At this point, we're talking about 100x to 1000x increase from the current Bitcoin price. So the fact that people are worrying about Libra today is laughable, in my opinion. Quite frankly, Libra will never be a competitor to Bitcoin. And in fact, it will only help Bitcoin. Also, people are focusing on short-term fluctuations and are missing out on potentially life-changing opportunities. Think about it, guys. We're talking about certain types of returns that you can't find anywhere else in the stock market or anywhere else. So I don't want to start the FOMO or anything of the sort, but I just want to tell you, don't get left behind, guys. Remember, fiat is always losing its value, and you're being robbed by central banks while they keep printing more money out of thin air. So by definition, you're going to lose value while you hold fiat. Conversely, this means that the price of Bitcoin, due to its deflationary nature and the fact that it is priced on dollars, will inevitably keep going higher. So that's just food for thought, guys. Anyways, that's it for today, guys. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps a lot. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.